Hey everyone, welcome back to Cignals Trading Academy. This is lesson number 14, and today we're discussing excess in markets. And this is by request because we had a bunch of people through YouTube, Twitter, Discord ask about identifying tops and bottoms, managing trades more effectively. And as we get into this middle portion of the sophomore year, I wanted to switch trajectory from just the nitty gritty technical aspects of how to build your trading repertoire into managing trades now that you probably have a decent idea of how to at least spot a good trade and more or less take advantage of the opportunities that you're seeing in real time. So moving on and starting to identify areas of excess is the logical next step before we get into further trade management. So I wanted to start with the former all-time highs. You had one at 65 and then you had one at 69, okay? And if you notice, when we get into these areas, we start to print these basically single print LVNs that are identifying that there's exhaustion or excess in the market, okay? And what does that all mean? So if you notice, like here, we're outside of value and we're getting some LVNs, but they're not exactly single prints, kind of basing back and forth. People are, trading in this band of about, call it, not even $10,000, $5,000 or $6,000. And that's normal. When we start to see excess, or what people call on the top side blow off tops, or on the bottom capitulation selling, or whatever you guys want to call it, really all that is just excess in the market and supply that needs to work itself out. So more or less what we're seeing here is when we got into the 65K range the first time. Okay, you notice that up here we started to get some of those single prints, right? We started to get some of those single prints. And why is that? Well, that's because when you get those single prints, what happens is that there's essentially people that are trying to target above the previous all-time highs, right? So like right here, this was our previous all-time high around like 63K. We popped up above it a little bit to 65K. There were no additional buyers to continue pushing this higher. As you can see, they're just single prints up here. So that's your first sign that as we're moving higher, violating previous all-time highs, and the market is seeking additional buyers to continue the auction higher, we're running out of steam. You notice on the downside that we're kind of light on volume as well. These are all signs that the market is in excess mode and it's starting to it cannot find any more buyers. We're starting to roll, okay? So you have low volume as we're basically topping, and we have single prints in the on the profile in this area. So naturally we start to rotate lower. After that, we can't find anybody to buy. Additionally, we had some people try up here. You had one, and then it looks like right here, very light amount of buyers came in. They got trapped at the top, unfortunately, and then price, you can see here VWAP as well, just took a huge nosedive, right? So that's your first clue that we're getting toppy, and that there's no additional buyers willing to step in front of essentially all-time highs and continue the auction higher. And if this wasn't the case, what you would see is basically more of this kind of like choppy back and forth. Every time we got near the all-time high, people would be, puking their lungs before we got there, right at the previous all-time high, because they're nervous. They don't want to, they're weaker hands. They don't want to hold and wait for that continuation higher, right? They want to take their profits and wait to rebuy somewhere lower. They're not looking to essentially capture whatever additional gains may lie ahead of the all-time high that, or the area around the previous all-time high. Like for example, you see like here has been capped quite a bit, right? Like this is a while back, but if you look here, in this little region before we got this blow off top or market excess that took us lower by, somewhere around $30,000 a coin. We were trading in this range, and you can see it here. We were just trading back and forth. The market was in LVN. It was creating LVNs, but essentially it wasn't single printing. We couldn't really lift. Like we were stuck in that range that people were kind of scalping or mini swinging between, the bottom here around 57 to about 61, 62, and people were just puking it out. And you could see it. I mean, here, right? People were kind of just puking it as we were going into the previous all-time highs of about 60 and change, 62 and change, whatever it was, before we had that blow off top to 65 and subsequently dipped. So what you're getting is weak hands that are just trying to make whatever pennies they can pick up before the steamroller gets them. And that's why you don't get the excess. You're getting people that are just basically nervous and trading whatever they can get out of this compressed range, and they're not so eager to hold for new all-time highs. Maybe they don't believe they're coming, or maybe they just really, like I said, they're weaker hands that don't have the staying power to wait for a new all-time high and wait for an excess of liquidity coming in and trying to basically entice buyers to continue the auction higher, right? So that's why you get this, and you didn't really get any of the telltale signs of a full-blown top until we had this little candle here. And what happens here is we start to run, okay? We got that big VWAP shift, start to run. We get to about 65K, 64, 65K. And what happens, guys? We get those single prints finally. We extend, VWAP shifts lower. We get our NPOC, which is a sign of reversal, like we always talk about, following the order flow and the auction. And then we start to dip back down into the 40s, right? So that was your clue that we were topping. We were getting what people call a blow-off top, right? Quote unquote. I was doing air quotes, and I just realized that I'm not on video, so quote unquote. And then you get these single prints of the range extending, and then it's funny because you get all the telltale signs that we've had that excess and buyers have officially run out of steam and have no motivation to continue the auction higher and seek higher prices, right? So you get the shift in VWAP, you get the NPOC, okay, formation as we top, okay, and we do it on a big bar down, right? We were working on getting all the way up here, but we got a serious wick back down. So buyers completely ran out of steam and they got run over. So what happens is we dip down to about 28K. What happens down here, guys? What happens down here? Let's take a look, right? We get that nice little bottoming pattern where we have a bunch of prints in the 28, 29K range. We start to see at the bottom, it's all buyers, okay? Heavy buyers. We get NPOC at 32K, and what happens? Let's look here, okay? We start to run out of sellers. Sellers are just getting run over, okay? They're trying to continue the auction lower, drive the liquidity lower, but we're stuck, right? Down here, we start to see the single prints. We start to see that there's exhaustion, okay? And it's happening on big volume, meaning that people are coming in and they're buying this, okay? They want to extend the range lower, sellers, okay? But there are no motivated sellers to continue running through this wall of buyers. And then we start to see, again, what we just spoke about, at the top around 65K in reverse. We start to see there's a bunch of people in this region that are just kind of like shorting it, going back and forth. And you see, oh, wow, it's horrible. Hold on. God, man. All right, so digressing. But you start to see in this range, right, that they're trading similarly to how we were at the top. You're getting those sellers that are kind of just scalping short, maybe mini swinging short, and they're keeping the market from experiencing that capitulation low, the excess of liquidity that would essentially take us into the what you would call a bottom, right? And you're seeing the telltale signs of a bottom, right? You're getting that nice, basing formation with buyers attacking the bottom of the range in the LVN cluster, in the single print clusters, right? So that's what you want to see. And down here, we're starting to see VWAP shift higher. And again, NPOC. It's very, these things occur almost all the time when when you get these topping and bottoming patterns happen, okay? And we always go over this. NPOC is a sign of reversal, okay? So it makes sense that you see a VWAP shift and an NPOC and all the buyers and the single print excesses at the lows, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's just, actually, it's way simpler. Let's just go back and check this one more time. If you are part of our Discord and part of the OG crew, legacy crew, we were talking about this. This was right around Elon Musk and Kathy Woods, the B word, whatever, where we had that Binance flash crash that took us way down. And we were talking about that. This looks like, if we can't hold here, that maybe this bull cycle is over, right? And we started to get this bottoming, pattern happen. We were talking about it in our private Discord, and essentially what happened? We reversed. We were saying, look, if we get under this level here, if this isn't going to round out and bottom out, then it looks like this is pretty much over. And, we have, 23K to look forward to on the downside from here, right? But again, we had buyers come in, sellers tried to push lower. You see here, sellers tried. They were trying down here, but they couldn't do it. And ultimately, buyers stopped that move from continuing. There was no more. That was the excess. All the people that were trading in this bottom half of the range getting basically swept up and then vaporized higher. And we ultimately did hit a new all-time high, correct, of about 69K. And what happened here? Same thing, single print, and you know the rest. VWAP, shift down, you got your NPOC, and from there we continue lower, right? So, let's do that again. Okay, single print at 69, VWAP shift lower, NPOC, and we continue the tumble. What happens though, we get back into value. This is a weekly chart, so we're back in value, okay? And then from there, we tried to make a run at the swing pivot of 47, something else that we've spoken about in our Discord quite a bit. If you're not in the Discord already, go click the link in the description, join our Discord. You definitely want to be in there, okay? And from there, we continue dumping. And here we are. We're pretty much pressing the lows. We haven't seen the capitulation lows just yet, in my opinion. You're probably going to try to target this NPOC of about 23K, but you're getting that rounding. You're not getting the buying yet, right? You're not getting all of that just yet. Maybe, just maybe, and we've spoken about this again in our Discord quite a bit. Maybe we're starting to see that bottoming happen. This is a multi-week cluster, so notice how long it took down here. It was very evident, though, that there were a lot of buyers attacking in this area, but we haven't gotten that that clean bottoming pattern just yet. I'd like to see this extend a little bit, create these single prints. We got some of these singles. Maybe we get down to about 26K, 27K again, and then that could be it. I'd like to see more buyers entering at the bottom. See, sellers are still trying to extend here, but we are getting this trading in range now. We're getting this range-bound trading, which is in value, keeping us from achieving that excess. So keep an eye on that, guys. That's really the very, very basics of market excess, capitulation bottoms, blow-off tops. Make sure you like and subscribe, please. It would help us tremendously. If you haven't already signed up for Cignals, go ahead, click the link in the description. Sign up for bare minimum your free account, okay? Because that's something that's going to help you at least start your journey with order flow, auction theory. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, guys. It helps us continue doing all this stuff for free. Share the video with whoever you can. And if you haven't signed up for the excuse me, if you haven't signed up for the paid version of Signals, which gives you access to everything, I'm going to keep saying it. It's $19.99 a month, guys, or $190 a year. If you're using Ethereum on any type of regular basis, you have paid way more than that in fees, okay? And if you're trading shitcoins, you've probably lost a lot more than that. So give it a try. It's really, really helpful. It'll help you guys get way better at price action, order flow, auction theory, and it'll put a lot of what we're saying into better context. So go ahead, click the link in the description, like, subscribe, share, and we will see you guys next week.